Hi, it's Friday and time to look back at what happened at Queen's Park and Ontario politics this past week. First of all, back to school. Time is running out for whatever plan the Ontario government wants to implement. The Ontario Science Table put out its recommendations for how we should be restarting school. In long-term care, license renewals are coming up for some of those institutions where residents of long-term care got sick, weren't properly taken care of, and died. Forest fires. You must have seen the hazy sky earlier this week. It's a big deal in northwestern Ontario. Keep watching if you'd like to find out more. Otherwise, please join me next week as I go back and look at what happened at Queen's Park and Ontario politics. So first of all, back to school. We're still waiting for Premier Ford's government to put out its plan, but time is running out. The Ontario Science Table came with recommendations on how we should reopen schools. They're focusing on the physical, mental, and emotional health of students, something that's going to be really important in the longer term. And they've emphasized in-person instruction as much as possible and fewer restrictions where COVID risk allows it. They've emphasized the return of extracurricular activities, again, with physical, mental, and emotional health in mind. And I think one thing that's really important is regional level decisions. So Kingston decisions on how schools operate based on Kingston conditions, the condition of the prevalence of the virus, the vaccination rates, the number of people getting sick, and so on. So unlike the third wave, how the third wave was managed in Ontario, the Science Table is saying, let's make regional level decisions when it comes to schools. Opposition parties are calling on the government to act sooner rather than later. Lots of preparation is needed. My own party, the Ontario Liberal Party, has written down a list of things that could be done between now and the start of school and also in the coming school year so that we could recover from this learning disruption that many students have suffered. In long-term care, the licensing of certain homes is coming up. These are homes where residents got sick, weren't properly taken care of, and died. The licenses can be granted for decades, and there's a long lead time. So if the government is not going to renew a license, it has to give a 3-year lead time. So some of these decisions are being made now, and as you might expect, at those homes where many residents got sick or died, were not properly taken care of, many people are calling for a non-renewal of these licenses. The new minister, Rod Phillips, who's just came back from the penalty box, is under this pressure, is now inviting public feedback on the licensing of these facilities. And some of them are even trying to expand. The problem is it's a little bit tricky because you can't just close these places down because there's a lack of spaces. There's a waiting list. And so the question is, what else can you do to make the situation better? Forest fires. You will have seen the haze in the sky earlier this week. Opposition politicians are calling for more support to fight the fires, but also to protect the residents, many of them First Nations residents. And government politicians are enumerating the existing supports, as you might expect. This is a big deal. This is a big fire in northwestern Ontario, and it's a big deal for First Nations there. You saw the smoke, you saw the red sun and the red moon perhaps. Perhaps you saw the air quality warning here in Kingston from Environment Canada. And then the weather changed. The smoke, if you look at the satellite pictures, blew to the northeast coast of northeastern United States. People are being evacuated. New fires are still starting. There are still dozens of fires out of control. Firefighting crews have come to Ontario from the rest of Canada, from the United States, and from Mexico. And all I can say as a last remark is with climate change, we have to get used to more forest fires around the world. And I hope we reinforce our efforts for all the people around the world to deal with climate change. If you like these videos, please follow me on social media and tell me what you think in the comments below. Please join me next week as I look back at what happened at Queen's Park and Ontario politics.